So we're back again for another video. This one's probably going to be fairly short. It's a bit of a rant. I do apologize for those who aren't really interested in such things, but as it is. I don't like to just do hate pieces on the channel, because I do think there's a lot of cool projects out there that people put their free time into that are really cool, really neat, and are honestly something that you could check out and have a lot of fun with. But there really are some projects out there that I really question what the fuck they're doing, and you'll see in a minute. So what we have here that I'm going to show you is Elementary OS. This is one I tried to take a look at earlier this year. It didn't go well. We'll leave it at that. I have some of the footage. I might use some of it in the video. We'll see. But, you know, we have the Elementary OS here, and I just spun it up in VirtualBox just to get a feel for things here. And it's, you know, click next. They do have a very nice installer. It's very straightforward. They do give us a warning here about virtual machines, and like, bro, fuck off. Then you can just hit next. I hate it when distributions do that. They're nagging at me for using virtual machine hardware. I do like encryption's very easy, and you can just click to install third-party drivers. Super easy. That's why that part of the installer is so baffling, that they would hit you with, oh, well, you're on a virtual machine, therefore you suck. So, yeah, I don't get what the point is there, but I get it. Virtual machines are slower, but virtual machines also let you try out things. And as we'll see, Elementary OS is certainly something to be said. And there we go. It's installed. The install was actually fairly fine, and you'll actually see upon reboot here, Elementary defaults to an out-of-box experience, much like Windows. I do think that's the right call. Set up the user after installation. I get giving the option to set up a user now, but I like the idea of just not needing to do that. But even if you install something like Mint in OEM mode, you still have to press your button to then get out of box so you can install drivers and stuff. But it is weird here. So I'm going to type in my password. So you got secure session and classic session. Why? Why the fuck did they do this? And then you see I go to log in and it kicks me out immediately. It's like at that point they didn't have either compositor running, either Wayland or X, so the initial login just fails and kicks me back out, and then I had to log in again. Weird decisions. We'll get back to this one driver required that pops up. I see that every single time I boot the machine. But, you know, simple, out of box, do your dark mode, do your nightlight, housekeeping, your online accounts, get you some apps, get you some free automatic updates. I don't do automatic updates. And, you know, it's pretty straightforward. Now, you'll see me here. I'm going to do the VirtualBox guest editions. It's literally VirtualBox's video drivers. Is it entirely necessary? I don't know if it is anymore. It seemed fairly performant, but I had an issue here where I just didn't have the proper resolution. I had to go to other. Why the hell do you not just show me all the resolutions? Why? Why are you trying to protect me from myself? And then in the process, their display thing locked up, and I had to like jiggle it to get it working. I don't know why. It seems like that's just not great. Doesn't auto mount ISOs either. They also do single click run. So I clicked once on that file and it opened. Well, that's a .run file. I want to run it. You can't right click and say open in terminal. So I have to open up terminal, CD, and then go find this directory. Okay. Paste this in here. And then run the VirtualBox Guest Editions Linux installer. Who in the absolute ever-living fuck thought this was a good idea. Just to that point. Now I get it. They don't want you to do virtual machines, but like opening a terminal at a specific location just should be in a right-click menu. Every desktop environment has it. Why does yours not? They don't ship bzip 2, which is an odd choice. No other distribution I've had has given me that error before, including mainline Ubuntu. And it's just weird. Now you're going to see something fun here. Because, yeah, this is going to compile just fine. For whatever reason, they don't have make or anything like that installed. So I have to go install it. Which, I mean, I can do that. I can just copy, paste, install. But it's strike 2, in my opinion, because you're not set up for very basic stuff out of the box. Now, even Mint doesn't ship with Git, but like, Build Essentials, I guess, isn't shipped on a lot of distros. It's just annoying, because when I install like a Linux Mint or an Ubuntu, I don't have to install that stuff. It's just there. I just insert guest additions and run it, and it's fine. So, it's a very strange decision, in my opinion, but it's a thing. We'll skip ahead here to the real catastrophe, which was next boot. Yes, there is this one thing with the open VM tools. I don't actually know what this is. Whatever it is, it never installs. Because every boot, it shows up, and it just says, hey, install me. Well, I did. Well, install me again. So whatever they're doing here doesn't work. I don't know what it is. It's not obvious. I'm assuming like Mint, they're tying it into the Ubuntu driver manager in some way, but yeah. Yes, and I love the operating system update screen has a fucking sponsor us button. That's wonderful. So let's reboot. And this is where we come into a major issue. I don't know why. So it tries to boot. And what I found is it's stuck here on this splash screen for quite some time. I waited 10 minutes in the real world. And nothing. And I hit escape, which will show you the logs. And I got this huge panic screen here. Something about the video drivers just weren't loading. Something about tainted modules. Something was really unhappy loading. I don't know what to do, of course. So I do what anybody else does and reset the system. It proceeded to do this a second time, by which point resetting the system again brought us back to a graphical environment. Yeah, I don't know either, boys and girls, but that's a thing. So I don't know what Pantheon is doing. Let's get rid of VirtualBox here. I don't know what they were doing, but, and 9 gigs, that's pretty average for an install size. I don't know what they were doing, but it's kind of fucked. And like I said, the open VM tools, I tried reinstalling this multiple times. Nothing ever happens. So I am going to go ahead here, download and install some updates. I don't know why the software store just refuses to launch. Sometime here after I run the updates, it just randomly launches like several minutes later. One thing about Elementary is all the apps on the system are flat packs. So I just hit update all. I don't have to wait for the base operating system to update. I can just update. And this part, I wish was a little easier. I know they broke the two apart for a reason, but I want to just hit the update button and update the whole system. I have to do it in 2 places. Or, worse yet, I have to enable automatic Flatpak updates and do system updates manually. This is not how I want to run my system. They don't have a way for you to configure the updates beyond doing it automatically or doing it manually. That kind of honks me off. Mint's Update Manager lets me get very granular with this. So that's something that they could improve hands down. And I also noticed something else too. I'll pull up the menu here. Install pending software updates. So they are doing the exact same thing that Fedora is doing, which is they are not live installing system updates. They are holding them until reboot, just like how Windows does it, and Fedora is doing it too, and patching the system on next startup. So you see, I get this little screen here, which tells you nothing other than complete percentage. Why is it not telling me what it's doing that, hey, I'm updating the system, please wait, or something? Even Fedora tells you that. So this is just, honestly, a piece of crap. I personally think patching the system while it's running is fine, because I've been running Linux Mint for 4 years. That's how they do it, and I've not had a single problem whatsoever. I do tend to, well, that's not true. I had one time I had a Mount FS error, but typically I update my system, reboot, and then we're good. It's still a lot faster to update your system and reboot than it is to update it, reboot, and apply updates, and then boot. Takes a lot longer. This is going to complete, and this is where I want to check out some stuff on the actual desktop, so we'll get into that. So here we are with our VirtualBox. I'm not going to worry about USB devices not enumerating. And we're just recording this with a nice simple screen recorder because it works pretty well. We'll go ahead and hit start. And we're going to launch straight into full screen. So this worked earlier today. We'll see it continues to work. VirtualBox, go away. Nobody asked. So here we are. I don't know why their splash screen's a little weird. It's like that on hardware too. We'll circle back to that when we finish. Anyway, so earlier we were running in the classic session. We still default to this. I haven't used their secure session, so let's take a look at that. With my super secret password, that's definitely not 123. Security. What in the world?
What? What the fuck?
And you can see on a virtual machine, this is actually quite performant. They should actually be proud of this, even though they're not. There's a little lag, but again, it's not terrible. All things considered, running in a virtual environment, I take it. So we have our power settings, much like how Linux Mint has power profiles daemon, they do here as well. The power settings here says about 2 hours till empty. Sounds about right. This HP is fantastic. Horse piss laptop. And it's nice because if you hover between things, it will pull things up. I'm going to go in here, and you see they do font scaling like this. Oh, that's fun. Why is that over there? Yeah, you gotta love Wayland sometimes. I'll give that a couple notches so we can, be able to see some things. It's roughly the level I would have it at. If we go into System, we can see there is a system firmware, system drivers. Apparently, somehow that OpenVM Tools is installed now. I don't know how. But hey, it works now. And I want you to note, yeah, so they've got a sponsor us link. Go ahead and click on that. See where it takes us. $6,300 per month goal. I want to note that if you calculate that out, that's over $75,000 a year. It's a decent chunk of change. And as you can see, you can actually go and sponsor them. And I do recommend, If you like their distribution and you like what they do, go for it. I'm being critical here. I personally wouldn't. I think they need a lot of changes in order to become a distribution that would be worth paying for. I think this is the hype train that is finally derailed, and it's time just to come out with it. Elementary OS has been around for some time. They have always kind of had the slogan of the thoughtful, compatible, or thoughtful, capable, ethical replacement for Windows and Mac OS. Let's be real, look at this and look at a MacBook. You can't tell me that they're not trying to recreate Mac OS but in the Linux environment. And in the early days, that's all it was the aesthetic was Mac-like. In more recent years, Danielle has changed the direction of the project and has pushed it more towards being a locked ecosystem. A number of years ago, they were shipping the older elementary OSs with an app store that you couldn't actually install anything from. So I'm going to actually pull up the app store while I'm thinking about it because it'll take a moment. And we'll probably launch randomly while I'm doing stuff. But they do a pay-as-you-can system. But you gotta like how the icons are all broken. Yeah, that's a thing too. Don't worry about that. But they have like $10, $20, $30 for their distribution. And they talk about, they have a normal blog post. I don't know if they're still up, but a lot of these blog posts were written by Cassidy up until his departure in 2015. After that, they're all Danielle. And, a big thing of Elementary back in the day, there we go. A big thing with Elementary back in the day was it pushed the frontier of X11 desktop environments. It pushed features like multitasking, like gestures, and other things. It doesn't do that anymore. In fact, it plays catch-up. A lot of features that they have brought to this distribution are simply features that exist elsewhere that for some reason they didn't have. Even Linux Mint got very basic gestures a few years ago. So it's not a huge thing. Them getting a Wayland session, they're one of the last ones on board to have a Wayland session. Now, yes, Cinnamon and Linux Mint are also pretty far behind on that. There are technical reasons for that. But, they were leading the accessibility bandwagon too. And I can assure you, from what I can tell, they used to have more in here. And I can also tell you that, where is accessibility? Is it because I'm in the Wayland session? I guess I'll check that later. They used to lead so much more accessibility stuff in here. Maybe it's desktop. I don't know. It's been a moment for me. Yeah, there's reduced motion and whatnot. I do that for performance sake. They do have this dyslexia text, which my wife does concur. Does work pretty well for her. The dock has been completely rewritten for this release. I do hope that they do more features, because I gotta be honest, it's not great. It's a dock. You can make it smaller or bigger, and you can hide it, but you can't move it. I can't put it over here to the left or to the right because I'm a monster. You used to be able to do that. And all their multitasking was ahead of the time back when I used to. You gotta keep in mind, I stopped using Elementary OS around the OS 5 days, so I'm a little out of the loop in that regard. There's a reason for that. You'll see articles like this back in 2022. Danielle denies it and has denied it multiple times online, but her and Cassidy originally co-founded Elementary and Elementary OS. That's just how it is. She wants to deny it and say it was always her project and he was always a side character. No, it was a co-founding. The thing is Beyond some of the political stuff that Danielle was getting involved in, and I'm not going to go down that route, I don't care what you identify as, you make good software, that's perfectly fine. There were some financial issues at Elementary, and as a result of that, you can keep in mind, Cassidy used to work for System 76. He got paid real money. Joined Elementary, they had to split a salary, which was probably less than what he was making. And then on top of things, the project funding got tight. So tight, in fact, Cassidy chose the right answer. He said, look, I will give up my salary. In fact, I don't remember if he says it in his own blog post here. But he restructured it. In fact, read his blog. I'll try to link this in my video description on this. But he kind of founded Elementary, and then he co-founded the actual Inc., instead of just the LLC, with Danny, as he refers to her here. And the idea was they split things. During the pandemic, funding got tight, and as a result, he had to make a decision to put bread on the table, giving up his salary to Elementary, pulling back, going and getting a real job that paid money, and working on Elementary on the side. Danielle and him started having problems with this. She believed that because he wouldn't put his heart and soul into it, he should just leave the project, and slowly, over the coming months, basically forced him out of the project. He threw his hands up in the air and said, fine, have at it. And he quit. And I'll try to link this article here. He honestly just didn't want to deal with her. And that should say a lot about things. Like I said, read his blog. He was very professional about it. He just decided to not be involved in any way with the project and leave. So now he works at Endless OS. And I think that says a lot about the project. Slowly over the years, there have been bad decisions made by this Elementary team. And by team, it's now just Danielle, plus a few people that are involved. Danielle has continued to make changes that were very controversial or not very good. As an example, they started shipping Elementary with all flat packs, which is cool, and I support it. But they didn't enable FlatHub out of the box, and would give you warnings that you were sideloading apps. You could irreparably harm your system. The fuck you talking about, bro? Like, yes, but bro, just enable FlatHub. That's where Flatpaks come from. I don't care if you want to have your own repo. And I do think that they handle their own personal Flatpak repo better than Fedora has, because they only ship their own apps in their own repo. They let FlatHub for the rest. If I come in here, ignore the broken icons, and type LibreOffice, I do have now LibreOffice from FlatHub. That happened last year. Up until last year, for the last several versions, you had to sideload a Flatpak to enable FlatHub to get it to work. Oh, and you'll notice there is no apt package here, even though if I open the terminal, I could search for it. If I type Firefox, okay, it just says FlatHub. If I open up terminal, do a sudo apt install Firefox, look at that. It's installing snapd. They support Flatpaks, but they're not going to go to the effort of showing deb packages, and they're not going to go to the effort to protect the system from installing snapd and adding snaps, which aren't supported through the App Center on there. They're doing nothing to protect the user here, which is just garbage. Beyond the other graphical issues I've had, beyond some of the performance issues I've had, there's one last thing that I think really drives home why I really think Elementary needs to pull back and actually try, because they're not. Elementary OS, a distribution based upon Linux. I understand developers can't test against every single hardware piece that you could possibly have. Makes sense. Here's one issue they have. F57 open issues. Random freezing during latest Elementary OS. This person has an NVIDIA card, and there's another one down here who's running an AMD card. Their system is freezing randomly. There's something wrong, probably with the compositor, that is resulting in issues. This has been open since 2020, and there are no code fixes here. Let me go back to issues. There's another one I wanted to post. Wow. They claim it's answered, and it's pinned. December of 2024. They have never fixed this, by the way. And they claim it's answered. This is not a fucking answer. This is, you need to fix your fucking code. So, person installed Elementary, and because they have an AMD GPU, the splash screen fails to load, and they're just stuck at a black screen forever. It just never goes any further. And this person, who's a collaborator, so he's one of the guys helping out, replies with, hey, just update your init RAM FS modules to add a line AMD GPU and save, and then update the init RAM FS, or remove the splash option from EDC Grub so you won't have that. They have just not fixed this and said, fix it yourself. I don't know if they're ever going to fix it. This has been out since 2024, and they're just not interested in fixing it. So if you want to support them, support them. If you don't. I don't think their distro is worth taking a look at anymore. So it's sad. But on that note, hope you all have a great day, and we'll get back to something more positive soon. Take care.